Hey guys, so when it comes to art advice, I'm really tired of hearing the same things, which is just practice or draw every day. So here's an actual guide on how to level up your art super fast over the next few months. The first thing that we want to do is to change up our environment. Now, if we've not been able to actually create art and perform our best, we need to change things up at a fundamental level. So we need to surround ourselves with all the things that inspire us and make it as easy as possible for us to be successful in following our goals and making artworks and just producing the best work that we can. So fill up your walls with all the art that inspires you. You can put up quotes, you can put up your goals, you can put up your schedule, just put it out where you can see it every time you sit at your desk. And so just find your space, find whatever it takes to make it as easy as possible for you to just sit down and get to drawing. And that's the first thing. The second thing I want you guys to do is observe, break down, and build. So start observing and not just looking at the things around you or the things that you see online, and start trying to understand and break down what you see. Where if you were looking at an image of a tree, you would try and break down mentally in your head as to how you could recreate that yourself in simpler ways, what methods you would use, what techniques you would use. Similarly, if you were looking at other artists' works, you would start observing how they represent things, and then you'll start building your visual library based on that. So the more you observe, the more you ask questions, the more your visual library gets built, because you're a lot more intentional about these things. So don't just look and admire things, actually take a bit more time and actually question why you like those things, because then it helps you understand yourself, helps you understand what you like, and also greatly improves your visual library. Now, the third thing that we want to do is that we want to turn social media into a learning platform and not just for entertainment. Now, a hack I like to do is that every time I like on a post, especially if it's an art post or a creative post in any way, I take a moment to actually think about why I liked it. Did I like the way this person made the reel? Or did I like the colors in this work? Do I like the background, how they did? Or do I like how they simplify things? Like, how did they show a crowd? What perspective did they use? And just thinking about it helps me observe things and learn so much faster, which ties up into the previous point that I just mentioned. You want to avoid doom scrolling and actually make it a lot more intentional. If you'd like, you could even study one artist a day and make notes on everything you like about their work and important things that you notice and how they simplify things, how they exaggerated, how they went about certain things, or even how they became successful, what kinds of posts made them successful. And that is all super important to even grow your social media presence, because you can't just do it randomly. You do need a lot of studying and intentional effort to actually get there. That leads me to point number 4, which is to steal from the masters. Now, a lot of the master artists you look up to have already spent a lot of time and effort doing the previous steps and actually breaking down, observing, and coming up with simple ways of how to represent the most complex things in their art so beautifully. And you can just look at their art, and once you take a little time to break down and observe it, you can just replicate and adapt those same methods into your workflows as well, which is just a hack. Like, I've learned so much on how to just paint cityscapes, how to paint landscapes and all, just by looking at the artists I looked up to and just copying their techniques. And over time, because of your own interest in art style, you'll have your own individual ways of going about that. But just the act of trying to simplify and break down things that you see and also learn from the masters, it adds so much more to your depth as an artist and also your skill set. And you will be surprised at how fast your art will be improving just by copying from the masters. Now, the fifth thing that we want to do is that we want to create a lot of bad art. And I don't mean intentionally sit and create art. I mean that you also need to make art where you can take away the pressure of making it look good. Now, if every time you sit down and you make art, and if it does not turn out good, it makes you depressed or you lose momentum and motivation and all of that, we want to avoid that. So you want to start creating a lot of volume of art to improve, but just remove the expectation of that being good. Now, a great hack that I like to do for this is that I go away from making digital art and I go back to traditional art with just cheap copier paper and ink pens, and I sketch out random things where I can't erase, I can't press Ctrl Z, I can't double tap to go back, all of that stuff, and there's no fancy brushes or layers or anything, and it's just ink on paper. And I don't intend to show this art to anyone, and I don't intend to upload it on social media for any reason. So what that does is that it still makes me fall in love with art, because I'm just creating it for fun and really enjoyable, and I'm also practicing and growing and improving at the same time. Now, after getting used to creating bad art and building a large volume of art, our sixth point is that we want to form a learning group. Now, why is a learning group super important? It's because you can learn many times faster. So after I left my job at Disney, I started an animation studio with 3 of my friends from college, and just being surrounded by like-minded people, you grow so much faster. And all of us had different strengths, different weaknesses that we could learn from. So when somebody learns something, you learn that thing as well in your own way. And when somebody fails at something, you know what to do or what to avoid, right? So the simplest way to do this is actually send out DMs to other artists who are at a similar level to you and similar interests, and it makes it so much easier to form an Instagram group or a Discord group and just have weekly calls, even daily calls if y'all are super into it. And y'all can show your art, you can talk about things, y'all could share YouTube tutorials, you can create challenges, do all of that, and that's just going to help you do so many things, and it's going to lead up into the next few points that I'm going to tell you. Which leads me to point number 7, which is that you need to make yourself externally accountable. I know that it's easy to set timelines in your head and be all like, I'm going to do this by this date and I'm going to create these many artworks and all of that. And when it doesn't come, you're kind of like, okay, and you make excuses, or even if you feel really bad about it, it still doesn't change the fact that you didn't make artwork. Now, one thing that really can help that is being externally accountable, and the learning group can help you do that. Because if you set a challenge and you set deadlines and you tell other people about it, you have so much more pressure to get it done now. Now, in my personal experience, when we first started the animation studio, I was given the task of creating concept art for a project that we were working on, and I went over and above to deliver way more than what was asked, mainly because I wanted to impress my friends and also prove myself that I know what I am doing. Similarly, I've used that concept many times where I announce something and then try my best to get it done right on time. And that helps so much because you are now accountable to more than just your mind. And that breaks a lot of barriers for us artists especially. And that leads me to the 8th step, which is to make personal projects and set challenges that you can follow. A lot of artists wake up in the morning and think about, what do I draw today? Or what am I going to draw this week? Or what do I draw to reach these certain goals and all of that? That's a big question. It's like, what do I draw? Now, when you set a personal project or a challenge, you already have that set out for you for the next few days or the next few weeks or months, however long your personal project is going to take. And a personal project can be something simple like 5 character designs for your original project, or 10 of your most favorite book covers reimagined in your art style, or 10 landscapes of some dark fantasy setting, or 10 studies of some village town that you visited and clicked pictures from, or any of that, right? So you want to have a base idea, then set a number of deliverables. Then you want to set out a timeline and schedule when your deliverables are going to be met. So it's going to be like, okay, end of this week, I'm going to have the 5 rough sketches for the characters. End of next week, I'm going to have them in colored. And the week after that, I'm going to have the backstories written, whatever it is, right? You set a timeline and you set the deliverables, you put it out, and then you do your best to meet those demands. And the 9th step after that is to take each of your projects to completion. And this is super important because a lot of us artists tend to reach these phases of boredom or lack of interest in our own work that we leave a lot of these projects undone and we move on to shinier objects and get distracted by other things. And it's super important to finish your projects because you want to chase progress and not perfection at this stage. So if you're a beginner artist, start setting out easier to deliver projects where they're not too ambitious. So you know for a fact that you can complete it and get it done. So that's going to build a lot of momentum for you. That's going to build a work ethic. That's going to build a lot of necessary skills. And completing a project that you wouldn't normally do pushes you way beyond your comfort zone, and you improve that much more each time. And when it comes to dealing with perfection, that's the 10th point that we're going to talk about, which is to limit everything. So set limitations on everything that you could think of that can hinder your progress. For example, limit your time. So if you give yourself only 5 days to get these 5 character sketches done, do your utmost best within those 5 days. And at the end of those 5 days, it's done. And if you'd like, you can take a break for a while, come back, look at it, and then decide, okay, I'm going to give it 6 more hours. I'm going to give it a little more time. Don't just be like, I'm going to do it next weekend or another week or so. Limit your time, be very strict about it. Similarly, limit your time collecting references, limit your tools, limit all the resources that are distracting you, limit the time you spend planning it, because you can always come back to it and make it better, but you first need to make these things exist. Like I said earlier, you need to chase progress and not perfection, right? And so those are 10 points. Now, if you guys are looking for a proper 10-step guide to use over the next 3 months on how to actually get good at art, I've uploaded a full-length course here on YouTube where I'll link it in the bio and also add it on this end screen. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the artwork that's been played in the background, and I will see you guys in the next one.